Hi there, Hawk Robinson with the RPG Research Project, and figured it's time. It's been about a year since the last quick status update. I don't know how long it'll take, but we'll try to be as quick as possible. Today is June 25th. The website is rpgresearch.com. Quick info about me, and there's a little link on the website with more detail on rpgresearch.com/staff, and then you'll see a link for me there. I am an undergrad at Eastern Washington University, working on an interdisciplinary degree in recreation therapy, music therapy, neuroscience, and research psychology. I'm a part-time student, full-time parent, so it's taking a long time to get it all finished, but getting near the home stretch here. I still have 2 internships to do, a 16-week internship in TR, a 10-week in classes to finish up, and then finally finish that degree. I also plan to take the SIT for the Certified Therapeutic Recreation Specialist, CTRS certification, once the internship's done, and also apply for a master's interdisciplinary degree at Eastern Washington and elsewhere once the bachelor's is complete. I am currently registered as a recreation therapist through Washington State. That provides some oversight and tracking and disciplinary possibilities from the state health department. Though I'm not currently practicing, that at least creates a little bit of a track record. I did that back last September and registered. Have taken the mental health first aid program, which helps in case of mental health emergencies in addition to just normal first aid issues. Not yet doing billable or formal therapy or research implementation with role-playing games. My overall goal is to study the effects of role-playing games in all forms upon participants, tabletop, live action, computer-based, choose your own adventure, etc. And as the research for about 10 years now, I've been researching this, seems to indicate potential therapeutic and educational uses, develop program plans to use role-playing games as a modality for treating specific needs for different populations. So far I've worked with autism spectrum toddlers, youth and adults, multiple groups, a couple of cerebral palsy participants, number of at-risk youth, traumatic brain injury, spinal cord injury, deaf and hard of hearing. These are all different populations I've worked with in different facets and have been trying to tie in using role-playing game therapies from a therapeutic recreation perspective to try to help them meet specific needs. So lots of different things going on. Tolkien Moot 11 is coming up July 17th, 18th, and 19th. That's tolkienmoot.org. It's an annual convention for fans of J.R.R. Tolkien and scholars. I'm founder of the Tolkien Society and an official SMEAL of the UK Tolkien Society. And we have guest speakers and such. Plus, we do a lot of role-playing gaming and other games, but it all has to be based on Tolkien and his work. So that's coming up, doing a lot of work getting ready for that. It's less than a month away. And if you want to go to it or just watch it online, you have to RSVP. There's an RSVP link right on the website. And feel free to join it as a free event, but there's limited seating if you're coming in person. It's here in Spokane, Washington. I recently posted, so 2013, I started doing questionnaire research on, I was curious after some experiences and comments from other players about the prevalence, the self-reported experience, opinion, and prevalence of gender bias in the gaming community and industries, but card gaming, online computer games, etc. So I did this 11-question questionnaire, and about 25% of the people opted to write comments on the back as well. I got 164 respondents out of 167 candidates, and yes, it's limited to the Inland Empire, Eastern Washington, Northern Idaho area for the most part, although there were a smattering of people from California, Texas, and elsewhere. My hope is to go replicate this in other geographic areas. I'll talk more about how to do that down the road. Definitely caused a stir with it because it's only partial data. There's so much data and I'm still processing through it. And it'll be a whole separate discussion just on that. But letting you know, some of that data is out there. It's on the rpgresearch.com website and /blog. There is only a smattering of information, but it gives some. A lot of people have been asking me to at least release something. And of course, that's upset some people. Rather than releasing a complete report, but others have been really happy to at least see some of the data, and it's caused some interesting discussions. You can check more of that on the website. I'm continuing the PTSD courses through Eastern Washington University. Since I started talking about using role-playing games as an intervention modality, a number of psychologists, therapists, professors have said, oh, you should use this for PTSD clients. But I was really nervous about activation and triggering and such. And even though I have some background in PTSD and experience working with it a little bit, I have not felt comfortable enough yet to design a program plan using role-playing games from a recreation therapy perspective for that population. So I'm taking a whole bunch of classes related to that to try to prepare for doing that. And hopefully by next year I'll have some sort of program plan, and we'll see how that goes. So that's continuing. Worldcon, aka Sasquan, is going to be here in Spokane. It was a big deal for everybody to get that here. I was not planning to go, but two different factions have been pleading for me to go. One is the Science Saturday group. It turns out one of the board members is a next door neighbor to my girlfriend. She saw my custom license plate says RPG on it, and there's the bumper stickers for the research project. We had a nice long sit down, and though it's probably too late to do any panels, has asked me to submit a 4-foot poster of the RPG research projects, kind of a quick summary of all the different things going on, and enter it in there. And then that Saturday, I stand by the poster for a couple of hours and answer any questions. So that'll be interesting. There's already over 3,000 people who bought tickets. Tickets are a bit pricey. I wasn't planning to do this, but pressure from there encouraged me. And then also another person who runs the Dungeons and Dragons Adventurers League in the Valley, whom I've never met, has also asked that I consider setting up or running or being on a panel for discussing role-playing game therapy and education. Be part of the Dungeon Mastering 101, be a better dungeon master, how to learn to dungeon master in D&D, which I've been doing since the early 80s, and run a table with a Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons & Dragons employee. So he's started a GoFundMe campaign for that at gofundme.com/XNJD64. That's X-Ray Nancy Juliet Delta 64. GoFundMe.com/XNJD64. He's already got a few donors in just a day or two, and if he can raise the money, then it'll reimburse me the $210 ticket for Worldcon and provide a little bit per diem. Luckily, since it's in Spokane, I won't have any hotel or travel costs, so I'm the inexpensive one for what he's raising. The expensive one is the representative from Wizards. But it'll be great if we make that happen. So please do check that out and support him if you can. Let's see. So this November, December, January, volunteered for a few months at St. Luke's Traumatic Brain Injury and Spinal Cord Injury departments through Recreation Therapy Department there as an assistant activity volunteer. And they were very excited about the ideas about using role-playing games for these populations for traumatic brain injury and spinal cord injury, etc. But we were running into resource and scheduling issues. Excuse me. With the new healthcare laws, recreation therapy, occupational therapy, and physical therapy are fighting over the scraps of the money that can be given to clients. There's a 3-hour allocation that's mandated for alternative therapies. So it's hard to just get the recreation therapy to get time with the clients each day that they're supposed to get. Then when they do get that allocation, facilities are a problem for setting up for role-playing gaming, although one-on-one is okay. So that we ran some issues there. It became clear in conversations that if there had been a facility that I could bring, for example, a portable office and set it up in the parking lot that could come and go, that would have been great. It needed to be wheelchair accessible. So that was back in January. I started thinking about that and getting kind of a little, maybe wacky idea, but it's something I think I'm going to do anyway. And was looking at, maybe in 2 or 3 years, I'll have the funds to do a down payment and get a role-playing game research trailer that's basically a portable office. Has all my gaming material for tabletop, live action, and computer-based. Lets me go to client facilities, whether they're a household or a rehab center somewhere, pull up on the street or pull up on the parking lot, lower the ramp, it's wheelchair accessible, ADA accessible bathroom. It has a table and seats 8 to 10 people comfortably, little kitchenette, etc., munchies, etc. And so the ideas first started to germinate back in January, and it's kind of caught some momentum. So my monthly payments for my office are a few $100s a month, and that's just here in Spokane. There's also projects in Seattle and Tacoma, but there's no way I can afford offices there. As I said, I'm not billable or anything right now, but there has to be somewhere for a few hours, a group can get together and run some games. And again, I'm running these games not as a therapist, but as just a game master, dungeon master. That we organize these games monthly, and then there's the inherent benefits of role-playing gaming, the cooperative problem solving, the communication skills, fine motor skills for moving the dice and such for different populations. And these different groups have been pleading with me to come out and run these games, but facility issues and my transportation and hotel costs and everything else to stay out there and do these things. So again, trailer comes up. Two Bards podcast today just mentioned, that's twobards.com, I believe, just mentioned this RPG research trailer. And I've started a GoFundMe for it. So it's gofundme.com/RPG trailer. And it's just to cover the down payment. So with this, I would no longer need my office. I would have the portable office. So the monthly costs for the loan on the trailer, which I don't have any problem getting the loan, will be right around or less than office costs in Spokane and far less than Seattle, Tacoma, and elsewhere. But it's the down payment and the driving down to Mesa, Arizona to pick it up and bring it back. And these would be custom built because it rides lower, so the ramp isn't as steep and has a wheelchair accessible flaps on the ramp and the bathroom and all of that. Interestingly, the custom built is less expensive than a pre-built trailer like this RV style trailer. Because the pre-builts have all the extra whiz-bang features of a house, extra large bedroom, stereo, full screen TV, all these other things that I don't really need. So custom building it is less expensive. And it ranges, the stripped down version that's not wheelchair accessible is about 15 grand. The basic wheelchair accessible without the lowering and everything it makes it 20 grand. Adding the convenience features to make it easier for them to get in and out, and the larger table, so more people can sit at the table with the better couches, things like that add up upwards of just below 40 grand total. So in order to make the purchase, I need a 10% down payment, about 4 grand, plus tax and license, blah, 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 all that, and the gas to go down there and get it. Luckily, I already have an SUV that's more than capable to transport it. And so altogether, I'm trying to raise $6,500 for the down payment. Now, I do hope to try to get this trailer regardless. I am now convinced that this is going to be a great tool for helping provide role-playing gaming and later role-playing game therapies all over the continent, the country, the continent, etc. And will keep my costs down, which then means when I do become billable in X number of years, I can also keep the costs down for clients, etc. And meanwhile, provide this, do the research and provide the therapy down the road for a diverse geography rather than where I'm in little Spokane and occasionally in Seattle and such. So again, that's gofundme.com/RPG trailer. There's photos of a mock-up of what it would look like and explanation and details, and hope you'll consider it. I know an unusual idea. I did the same thing in computer science, and at the time they're like, oh, that's very strange and it's not worth it. And then after the fact, oh, of course it was worth it. That makes total sense. Why didn't anybody do it before? Not the first time. So we'll see. But hopefully if you can help me with that. If not, in a few years, after the degree is done, I'll still try to get it anyway. But this would move it up so that I've been asked and already am booked to go out to the live action role playing Living Games conference in Austin, Texas in May of 2016. So originally it was going to be 2 or 3 years before I'd consider the trailer. Trying to move it up to next year because it's in Mesa, Arizona. I'd actually visit my mom in Tucson as I went down over to Austin, Texas, and it'd be great to be able to pick up the trailer, go to there, demo it, have the conference, get the exposure to all the live action role playing styles there, and then drive back with it. And if there was any gotchas, have them fixed on the way back, etc. And then be able to start to implement. So that's why I'm trying to move up the timeline. Again, not the end of the world, but if you think this is a great idea and like to see it start happening, there's some incentives and motivators, so check it out. Some think it's a great idea and others think it's an unnecessary expense. I understand both sides of the argument there. Let's see. Covered PTSD, panel, Worldcon, St. Luke's, trailer. I think I've mentioned all the different populations I've been working with. Oh, here's another example of why the trailer. The PAVE group, which is a group of families in the Tacoma area with autism spectrum youth and adults, has totally excited about implementing the program I wrote last year using tabletop and live action role playing to help teach them to use the public transit system. Problem is facilities for them. So that's one group that immediately would make use of the trailer. I could be over there each week and implement that program. There's a group in Nagios, which is for also on the west side of the state, for at-risk youth and substance abuse youth, etc. And so, backing up, I did a presentation in April at Seattle Children's Hospital for the Washington State Therapeutic Recreation Association's 16th annual conference. Did a 90-minute presentation on the therapeutic use of role-playing games from a recreation therapy perspective. It's a short version. Went really well. The room was filled to capacity, about 35 people, but that was far more than I expected. What's really great, and now people are wanting to implement programs, been calling me left and right and helping me coach them. They would love for me to come out there and help implement, but again, we're running into, the trailer would make it more affordable because of hotel costs and everything else. We'll see. But yeah, so they're already running one with one participant, at least getting ready to run. And there's a group in Canada also interested in running role-playing game therapy, adding it to their program. These are both recreation therapy specialists, CTRSs. And I'd be able to help them a lot more if I could go out there more frequently. So that's the PAVE group, Nagios. And then HBO, Vice Media, they do documentaries, usually political stuff, but they also do some medical stuff. They did one on using viruses to treat cancer and such last year. Well, apparently they're doing an ongoing documentary on autism spectrum participants in live action role playing in a couple of groups in New Jersey and New York. And Google search, of course, my RPG research website showed up, and she interviewed me for a little over an hour. Research background and such, and she would love for me to come out there and do an in-person interview and observe. She's been observing for 5+ months these participants preparing a documentary. Would really love for me to come out there and observe as well and provide input and suggestions, etc. It's not a formal therapy there, but just observing the potential inherent benefits of participation in role-playing games, cooperative problem-solving, communication skills, coordination, and things like that. So that's yet another area that would become viable. At this point, going out there is definitely beyond my budget at this point. And at this point, nobody's offered to pay for me to go out there. I would if they could, if they offer. So let's see, we've got that. And I think that pretty much covers a quick rundown of all the different things. Worldcon, I have the poster, St. Luke's volunteering, 2 bards, we're talking about it. The trailer, Living Games. Thank you, Professor Sarah Lynn Bowman, for encouraging me to join that. I'm really looking forward to that and meeting you in person. We've already been on a LARP panel together last year through Google+, but it'll be great to meet in person and dialogue from there. The Nagios project, the PAVE project, the HBO Vice documentary. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. I suspect I've probably forgotten some others, but at least this gives you some update as to what's going on. I hope that's useful. I look forward to your questions and comments. It's always useful. It always helps me as I'm learning through this whole process, trying to create this whole new modality. It's great to get insight from all the different disciplines out there and encouragement, and really appreciate it. RPGresearch.com is the main website. Twitter is twitter.com/RPGresearch, youtube.com/RPGresearch. I really don't like to use Facebook. Never really did, but they've really been frustrating of late. If I don't like to use my personal, I don't use it for personal use at all. So they're giving me grief about it being all for an entity, research projects, rather than, and of course, then they want you to pay and all this other stuff. And when they move you to a page, you really don't get much visibility. So when you post things to a page, most people don't get it. It's just frustrating. So follow me on Facebook, you can do, but it's not very useful. So I recommend following on Twitter and YouTube, and of course the website itself, which has RSS feeds. Tell me if you'd like more of these updates. I could do these once a month. I'd be happy to make this interactive with an audience. I did this as a Google Hangout without any forewarning. Originally, I was just going to record this, but I have many different computers. I prefer using Linux and other things, but I was trying to use the Mac just to make it quick and dirty. And of course, the Mac Photo Booth wouldn't load, and iMovie wouldn't load. But what do you know is it'll get a load through Google+. I hope the bandwidth is behaving and that you're getting all this clearly and that the audio and video is okay. I'll only know after the fact here. But I hope you found it useful. Please let me know in comments and feedback. And talk to you later. rpgresearch.com.